back to my YouTube channel. This is your girl Coach Corey. This is the place to inspire, motivate, and impact. So today I'm going to share with you a recipe, and I hope I can do this at least once a week. I love making samosas, and this time I was making them for my next door neighbor who was celebrating her birthday. And so let's go to the kitchen and let me show you how I make my samosas. This is my recipe. I'm sure there's many variations. I just thought I'd share with you how I do it. Maybe you'll be encouraged. Maybe you'll want to make them for your family. And by the way, they're so easy and there are no stress because you'll see what I use to make my life so much easier. Let's go. I chop some onions, some garlic, some ginger. I put that on the side. And then I take some carrots, maybe like 2 or 3 carrots, just depends on how much meat I am making. And for this recipe, I am using ground turkey. I just find it better because it's a little bit more lean. That's what we're going to be using. So we are making meat samosas here. I know some people make potato samosas. From East Africa, we predominantly prefer to have meat samosas. And so I take my turkey, I put it in a pot. I don't put any oil. I just put it straight from the pack into the pot. It's very finely minced. And so I kind of need to just make sure it spreads. And by the time it's ready, it's really, I don't have any lumps. So you need to kind of mix it up if you want it to cook well. And so that's what I do. I just don't use a high heat, and as you can see, the water is now coming up. It's releasing the liquid, and I just continue cooking it until all the water is gone. Like I said, I don't put anything to it until all the water is gone. Now, once the water is completely evaporated, then I can start to put my ginger and my garlic, just so that now it can begin to cook nicely and just kind of mix well with the meat. And I put some garam masala. I get it from the Indian store. I love the one that comes from the Indian store. It's a little bit stronger than what I can get from the other regular supermarkets. I also add some dana jeera, a couple of teaspoons. Just depends on how spicy or how strong you want it to taste. And then after this, I will add a little bit of salt. It was refusing to come out, so I kind of had to shake it a little bit. And I don't like a lot of salt, so I was trying to be careful just to make sure that I don't put too much. Because I don't want to mess my recipe. And then when that is done, I mix it really nice and good. Make sure the ingredients, the spices mix very well with the meat. And as you can see now, the water is pretty much completely drying up, and so the flavors are really going into the meat. They are not evaporating with the water. And at this point, the kitchen is smelling so amazing. And all that flavor is actually going to be transferred into the samosas. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the carrots. I add them towards the end because I kind of want to maintain a little crunch in them. I don't want them to kind of like overcook. And so we're almost done with the meat, and so we're just gonna mix them in there. And I love that the carrots just add a little bit of sweetness without adding sugar. So the sugar in the carrots just kind of gives it a little bit of a zing. Now, for those who love to put pepper, this is really a good place you could put pepper. I personally don't care for pepper, so I will not do that. And then I also add my chopped onions at this stage because again, I want some crunch onto those samosas, and the flavor just comes out so much more beautifully when I add this towards the end of the cooking process for the meat. So stir everything in real good. I make sure that everything mixes nice and well. so that you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you bite a crunch of big, crunch of onion that did not get mixed in well. So once I get that done, I just let it cook a little bit. And finally, I add cilantro at the end. I just have chopped cilantro or dania, depending on where you come from. And don't let it cook. It's just to put it in there. In fact, you can turn off the fire at this point. That's what I do. And just kind of, let that flavor just stay in there. As you can tell, I'm very big on flavor. I love to maintain the flavor of everything so that when you're eating that samosa, there's a party going on in your mouth. Yes. So once we're done, we just turn off the fire. We let our meat cool completely. We cannot go to the next stage until that meat is cooled completely. So move it to a container that is not a conductor of heat. So now it's time to make the pockets. And this is where I cheat. I use flour tortillas. I get the big flour tortillas. But before we go into the flour tortillas, I need to show you how we make the glue. So I take some flour, put it in a little bowl, and add some water, stir it up until it gets to a nice thick pancake kind of consistency. You want it heavy so that it is able to glue the pockets for your samosas. You do not want them falling apart. It's just flour and water. It's that gluten that we're looking for to make sure that our mix works as a good glue for the pockets that we are about to make. So it's time to make our pockets, and I use tortillas, regular tortillas, but the big ones. Key thing, make sure you get super soft. They need to be flexible to fold. Some of the brands, when you use them, they actually break when you're folding. So keep that in mind. Also, you want to make sure you get the really large ones. I think they come 8 a pack or 10 per pack. And you will need to cut them into 4. That's what I do. I cut them into 4, and I just fold the one on top to kind of give me that halfway point, and then I cut them. And once I do that, I'll do it again for the other side to make the quarter, and that way I get a decent size, and they come a very good size, and that's why I like these big tortillas. I'm not loyal to any particular brand. I've tried different ones. And so you use what you are comfortable with if you want to try out this recipe. So after I cut these into 4s, and I think these came 8 a pack, so I get 32 of them. Oh, that is awesome. Yep, that's enough. And I will actually freeze some of them because I don't have to cook all of them at the same time. And that's what I love about these. They freeze well. And so when I have guests, I can just go ahead and use them. So then I'm starting to make my pocket. I fold them just like you're seeing. I fold and I put that glue that we made, our flour glue, and I make sure I get the tip so that it doesn't leak. And I don't press hard. Don't press them hard if you're trying out this recipe. You just do it a soft close. Again, you fold it on one side. Now, I'm left-handed, so I'm gonna start with the opposite, but it doesn't matter. I mean, my kids do this with me all the time, and it doesn't matter whether you're left-handed or right-handed. The idea is to make sure that pocket is sealed and you're making a sort of a triangle, as you can see what I'm doing. And then once we finish making all these pockets, we are going to go ahead and begin to put our meat. So I'm showing you quite a few of these times because this is the tricky part. If you get this right, you're good to go. But don't worry about it. It takes a little practice. So now I'm done with the pockets, and so I'm going to begin to put the meat. And I usually just take about, depending on the spoon that I use, if I use a small spoon, I'll put like 2 spoons of the meat mixture. And as I put that, then I kind of tuck that meat in and cover it, and then on the flap put some glue, again our flour mixture, and then close that pocket and face it down. I'll kind of face it down so that that glue can kind of hold as I make the rest of the pockets and fill them with the meat. And I will continue with this process until I am done, and I'm just going to show you a few more times how to do this. Tuck that in nicely so that the meat does not ooze out. It will try to ooze out from the edges if you do not seal it properly. So please make sure your edges are sealed properly, but don't overdo it, okay? So it has taken me quite a bit of practice, but again, once you get the hang of it, it is so simple. And I make all the pockets, and now it's time to deep fry. Obviously, you put your oil, and I usually just put one to test to make sure once the oil, I feel like the oil is ready, and from there I will be able to do the rest. So I have done quite a bit, and you can see the foil pan where I'm putting the ready ones. They are good size. I put with a paper towel just so that they can drip the oil. And once I am done with making them, I serve them with some aioli sauce, which I will show on another video. Or you can use lemons. That's what actually most people do, but I discovered this sauce and it talks to you. So if you like this recipe, just go ahead and try it out, and I'd love to hear your comments once you try it.